From spring oilseed rape through laid cereals, harvest stubbles and winter drillings, the months of summer offer the pigeon shooter a huge variety of challenges and opportunities. This programme is a comprehensive guide to the key situations and conditions that the decoyer will find as the season develops, from spring to summer and autumn. Complete with in-depth analysis of conditions and graphic representation of setups, this video will add considerably to the knowledge of the shooter who wants to make the most of all the summer has to offer. Spring is well and truly here now. The winter sown oilseed rape is a bright carpet of yellow, but the spring rape is still highly decoyable. Peas are also a key crop, from when they're drilled right through the summer to harvest, as is set-aside land. The fresh growth of weeds there can be a real favourite for the birds. With the warmer weather and the longer days, the flocks of winter have broken up now. More time will be required for reconnaissance, not only to find the feeding areas, but importantly the time of day at which the birds are feeding. It can be a long day, from morning right through until perhaps 10 o'clock at night, so finding that time of day for the feed is really critical. The best days are those that are bright and breezy, days that keep the birds on the move. It's well worth keeping an eye on the pressure and weather fronts that are on the way, as these can have a big impact on feeding patterns.
Okay, we've got to the middle of July, and usually by this time of the year we would have had some good shooting on laid barley. But we've had a look at all the farms that we know in the area that grows barley, and none of the fields have got any flattened areas on them. Even though we've still seen pigeons trying to get into the standing crop, but we know they would be impossible to decoy. So today we've been lucky to find a field of swallows rape. Most of the farmers in this area direct combine the rape, but this is one of the few that actually puts the rape in rows for it to dry out. Of course, the pigeons soon find this, and today we're going to give it a try on this field. They've been building up here for about a week now. The advantage of shooting on swallows rape is that the rows stand up nice and high, and that's obviously where the pigeons are used to feeding. So I'll always put the decoys right on top of the rows. Just make sure that you walk down the rows when you're putting them out so you're not knocking the seed out. Doesn't really matter too much which way the decoys are facing, because they're quite used to sitting on top of the rows and feeding. You'll always find the dead birds even in the rows of rape, because you'll see the little hole where it's dropped through, and you'll find the pigeon has gone right through the row of rape, and you will not need to keep walking up and down the rows. You should find that the farmers will be quite happy with that, providing you don't keep crossing the rows and knocking the seed out. We've been lucky today in that we've got a nice tree in the middle of the field. This is going to give us a good situation to set up round that tree so that we can got 360 degrees angle to shoot the birds as they come into the decoys. Right, we're decoying fairly close to a busy main road. It's probably 500 yards away, but I'm expecting the pigeons to come from the wood that you can see in the distance on the hill and over the main road. In a situation like this, pigeons normally decoy very well because they quickly get used to the traffic and the noise. We got to this field this morning about 11 o'clock, and already there was a lot of birds on the field and a good strong flight line coming in. I think in hindsight we should have been here probably an hour earlier. I know for a fact that once pigeons have been on the field for a couple of hours, they will soon clear off and not come back. If you come too late in the afternoon, you run the risk of them already feeding and not coming back as good as they would have done if you'd have set up earlier. Coming back over the decoys. One coming directly behind us, dead behind the tree. He's going to come in, he's going to come over our shoulder any second. There he is. We always like to start the day with artificial decoys, but as soon as we've shot any, I also like to put them out as decoys too. I also like to put the the wings out to show up the white bars, because that's really what attracts the pigeons coming in. Right, it's a very hot day today, and we're shooting over swarf rape. We've put some of the dead birds out as decoys that we've shot early on, but now we've got enough out there to create a good pattern. The birds are coming in well. What I'm doing now is bringing all the birds in that I'm now shooting, getting them into the shade of the hide so they can cool off, and hopefully I'll get them to the game dealer sometime this evening when we get back. As you can see today, we've set up quite close to some high voltage electricity cables. And I know a lot of people would say they wouldn't set up so close to these because the pigeons are quite wary of decoying close to them. That's probably quite true. They're very wary of flying across these cables, but quite often they will fly down the length of them, and I'm hoping that's what's going to work for us today. But if anything, they've just gone more aimless. He's coming back, that one. One coming up the wires. Two. These are coming. Here he comes, through the wires, right on your left shoulder. Coming back on the right. One coming front right. You going to turn? Yes.